Hey, what's up traders? This is Jeff Kohler, aka The Option Addict from over at www.tradingaddicts.com. I'm going to start things off with a little bit of market analysis. My projection this week is we're flat to up. And there's the possibility that we may be seeing the onset of a deeper correction and really good shorting opportunity that's setting up here. I kind of look at this situation. It looks pretty darn similar to what happened back in May, June, July of earlier this year, and that is, we've had a pretty deep correction, in the S&P. We're seeing a little bit of a comeback rally, and I got to say, the bears had every reason to take the market down on Friday and weren't able to do it. So I don't know if we see a lot of things set up this week as far as any huge directional movement out of the S&P, but there is the chatter about the head and shoulders part 2 of 2009 here setting up, and you can make the argument, of course, shoulder setting up right here, and I've ever since last week I've been looking for a movement that takes the S&P up to back towards that 1080 level. And you can see that when you dial down into a 30-minute chart, there's the kind of an ugly inverse head and shoulders that set up through here, right? Neckline a little bit slanted here to the downside. We've already successfully broken from that, and so what I'm looking for from this point is about 1080 to the upside, and we're just about there. So as far as upside, you can see we're on a little bit of a path of higher prices going right through here. And 1080 just seems like a pretty reasonable spot to me. If 1080 does happen, and the bears are kind of hold the line there, the bulls aren't able to take prices higher. I think if you got a pretty good shorting opportunity, at least for another test back down at 1030, give or take. That probably doesn't happen this week. I'd probably extend that out another week or so. But as far as the developing reversal pattern, it takes a little while to unfold here. But as far as I can tell, I'd like to see a movement at least up towards 1080. That's what I'm positioned for. I'd like to see how the bulls can handle it when they get there. If we can take out that level, then we're back up to the highs, no problem. But if not, we start to pull back from that. I'd be looking for another test of this neckline down here at about 1030, give or take a few points. So with that, my list of stocks that I've come up with today are a little bit different than what we're normally used to. What I'll start off with here right now is a couple of buy the dip setups and a couple of sell the rip setups. So take a look. And now, my watch list is as follows. In terms of pattern setups, I'm looking at Walter Energy. And I've already got a position here, just as a disclaimer, but what I'm looking for is a break of these highs. You can see an ascending triangle that's in development here, and if that gives way, we're looking at a pretty substantial movement. Keep in mind, this measures from a low back down to 50 up to a high of about 67. So we're talking a tremendous movement if we can get outside of those highs. So I'm at least looking for that big breakout, hopefully to take place later this week. Next, I've got Adobe. Pretty much the same pattern. Right now it's a tough entry point, being right in the midpoint of this recent range. But if prices are able to take out 36, then I'd use that as a long. If not, if we can get up there and we just stall, I'd wait for another dip setup back down at about 33.5, 34. So I'm not going to jump into this one as of Monday, but looking for a good entry point, at least anticipatory ahead of 36. Next is Best Buy. Been talking a lot about this one on TA Live, and you can see the pattern that's setting up here. Good bounce off of the 20, 50-day moving averages. There's a level of trend support that's setting up here. Looking for a move up to about 41.5, 42, and if prices can clear those highs, we'll see a pretty sharp movement to the upside. Of the bearish variety, you've still got HBHC, Hancock Holding Company, and so I'm looking for the breakdown here. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm still sitting back here and watching. Same thing with Sanderson Farms. The descending triangle, still very much in effect. There we go. Looking for a breakdown of this 36 level. Here's a new one, old telephone and data systems. So take a look at this. stock that's well off of its yearly highs. Those are the kind of stocks I'd like to short. And the neckline's pretty clear right down here at about 29.5. A breakdown there, I think that's a pretty good spot. And I'd love to see it up a little bit higher, get a little bit closer to 31.5, 32, and I think that's going to be the best spot, kind of as an anticipatory trade. Another triangle pattern here, BMC. The little software companies aren't looking so bad here. And I like the setup. It's easy to manage down here at about 37. Use this rising level of support. If that breaks, stop out of the trade. But I like it here ahead of resistance up at 39. Some more for you, JLL. And this is more of a symmetrical triangle in the making. Tough entry point right here at the moving average. So what I think you want to look for from here is if on this test it doesn't break, be patient, wait to buy the dip back down at 47.5. But I'm watching this thing coil and just going to be sitting back and watching for entry points from here. Ideally, I'd like to buy it down, but into a breakout, I think there'll be a good 2 to 3 4-day movement that sets up from there. Take a look at this one. It's kind of speculative, but old Vail Resorts, ticker symbol MTN. Here's the pattern here. Just another triangle in development. Again, another tough spot. We're late in terms of buying the dips with the market up 4 out of the last 4 days. So right here in the midpoint, I don't want to jump into these here unless you want to start a position. But I'd love to buy it down. If not, I'd be waiting for a breakout up north of 37.5 to buy this thing up. A couple of flags that set up. Netflix. You can see Netflix broke out of this flag and it retested here on Friday. So I like this as a dip buying setup at about 55. You can also look at Amazon, which I just closed out of a position not too long ago because it broke a pretty key level of support, but since has just absolutely ripped higher. So I'm wishing I hadn't done that, but from here, I like the strength that we've seen in Amazon. Now it's just all about finding the right spot to buy. And to me, I think if you can get this thing back down at least a few points, 123, about 123, 123.5, I'd like to be a buyer there. Couple others, PRGO. Notice I've had this ticker in my watch list for a little while now. I like this short-term setup here, kind of a cup and handle. It's been a really strong stock. It's got a really strong trend behind it, and I think right here is not a bad spot. So into a breakout, I like this. I'll probably just buy shares. Tico Energy. This is from watch lists of the past. It's right about ready to break out. In fact, you might even consider it having broken out on Thursday and then retesting here on Friday. Volume looks good here as it's made this move. A few others, BDX. I like this setup that's been going on here. And the breakout's already happened. You can see volume pretty active. Prices were up pretty good on Friday, so I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a boring stock to have in this kind of a market climate. But I think if you can get this down at 69, around that level, then that's not too bad of a trade. Couple others. I like transports as a short, especially the airlines. And if old Alaska can turn down from here with the way the airlines have been getting smashed, I think that's a pretty good spot for an anticipatory head and shoulders pattern. So I like that one. Same thing with the GDX if we're talking head and shoulders patterns. It's a little sloppy, but here you can see somewhat of a neckline here. And you've got one shoulder here, one head here, one shoulder there. Not a bad anticipatory stop looking for a breakdown. Almost done. SGY. Like this pattern here, like the way it traded on Friday. And it's, triangle pattern here that's broken out. So any kind of a little bit of a pullback down to 19, I think you got to buy it there. Few others. I got Mosaic. I've actually got a spread position here, a bullish spread, but looking for a breakout. Maybe that happens this week, maybe it doesn't, but this coil is winding pretty tight. It's right here at the midpoint of this range. So I'm looking for a break in one direction or the other pretty soon. And last one I have on the list was IHS. Another triangle pattern here that's in development. So a lot of patterns this week, not a lot of upside breakouts or downside breakdowns, but in the patterns here you've got quite a few to work with. So, well, that'll do it for me, folks. Thanks again for tuning in. This has been the Option Addict. That's been my watch list. Thanks for watching. Have a great week.
Bob Barker reminding you to help control the pet population. Have your pets spayed or neutered. Goodbye.